that the prosecutors who worked on the case, the Eric Adams case, were being placed on administrative leave and would be investigated by the Attorney General.
What's going on, you guys? Today we have Brian Tyler Cohen. He's discussing Eric Adams' case as well as Steve Bannon's case. This is Brian Tyler Cohen. Let's get into it.
You're watching The Legal Breakdown. Glenn, we've got a pretty cataclysmic move here as far as the Department of Justice is concerned, something pretty unexpected from a Trump appointee. Can you explain what just happened?
Yeah, Brian, the resistance from within Donald Trump's Department of Justice is growing. The acting United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office, that's the field office of the Department of Justice that's located up in Manhattan, a woman named Danielle Sassoon just resigned. Why did she resign? Because one of Donald Trump's attack dogs, a guy named Emil Bove, one of the high officials down at the Department of Justice, also a former criminal defense attorney for Donald Trump, told U.S. Attorney Sassoon to dismiss a pending prosecution, a public corruption prosecution against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now, you know, this was a big old prosecution. A 57-page indictment had been handed down for, really alarming political corruption by Mayor Adams. And there was a trial date coming up in April. And Donald Trump's DOJ leadership, this is almost too much to imagine, told the U.S. Attorney in New York, you're going to dismiss the case, not because there is a deficiency in the evidence, but because we want Mayor Adams to be in a position to help the Trump administration with its priorities and its policies. I mean, this is corruption in the harsh light of day, dismissing a pending criminal case against a high government official so that person could help Donald Trump and his goals and priorities. And U.S. Attorney Sassoon said, hell no, I'm not doing it. I resign. Then after that, Brian, they tried to take that case and move it down to Washington, D.C., at least the supervision of that case, to a unit called the Public Integrity Section. And
So right here, it's Trump doing normal Trump things. He's treating this like it's a scene out of The Godfather, to where it's like, I do a favor for you, you come back and you do a favor for me. And we're seeing it right in front of us. He is at least doing the corruption in front of us. It is now so clear, and what more can the people ask for? This is nothing behind closed doors. This is full-on corruption right in front of us on the grand stage.
Tried to make them basically do Donald Trump's dirty work. And the two top officials in the Public Integrity Section in Washington, D.C., also said, hell no, we resign. This, feels a lot like the old Saturday Night Massacre during the Nixon days, during the Watergate debacle, when he tried to get people to do his dirty work for him, and they resigned one after another after another. That's what we're seeing now. The good career prosecutors who take their oath of office seriously, who understand their responsibility to prosecute without fear, without favor, and most importantly, without politics, are saying, we will not do Donald Trump's dirty work or the dirty work of his leadership at the Department of Justice. We are out. We're standing on principle. This is a really important development.
Glenn, I understand that you frame this as the resistance against the Trump administration growing, but at the same time, you have these good prosecutors, people who are actually willing to stand up to Trump, but when they resign, aren't they just self-selecting out? Aren't they making it so that they're just going to be replaced by somebody who will do Trump's bidding, and so we're left worse off than we were had they just opted to stay?
No, they're taking a public stance. They're saying, we will not do what a corrupt president or the corrupt officials he is installing at the top of the Department of Justice are telling us to do. We will not do it. We will speak out. We will speak with resignations. We will speak with our feet because we are leaving. This is the word that has to get out. Some people could say, well, aren't they just kind of obeying? Not really. Yes, they could stay there and be fired the next day, but it is the message it's not the way that they leave the Department of Justice, it's the message that they are sending by standing up to, this attempt to weaponize, yes, I'm going to go there, weaponize the Department of Justice. And Brian, here is the most egregious.
If you guys enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this.
Part of all of this, because this guy, Emil Bove, remember his name, one of Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorneys, and that name should go down in the history books in infamy. Let me tell you what he did. The first thing he did a couple of days ago was he ordered U.S. Attorney Sassoon to drop the case against Eric Adams, not for evidentiary reasons, but for political reasons. And here is what he told her when he ordered her to drop the case a couple of days ago. This in no way calls into question the integrity and efforts of the prosecutors working on the case, nor Ms. Sassoon's efforts in leading them. And Brian, not 2 days later, when she resigned, rather than do, Emil Bove's unethical ask, here's what Emil Bove said about her today. Mr. Bove, in accepting Ms. Sassoon's resignation, informed her that the prosecutors who worked on the case, the Eric Adams case, were being placed on administrative leave and would be investigated by the Attorney General and the Justice Department's internal investigative arm. He told Ms. Sassoon both bodies would also evaluate her conduct. This is retaliation and retribution that would make, Kim Jong-un, the president of North Korea, blush, because it's so flagrant, it's so transparent, it is so out in the open, in the harsh light of day. He says, do what I'm telling you to do. Get rid of the Adams case for political reasons, not legal or evidentiary reasons, and everything's going to be okay, and all the prosecutors who worked on the case are going to be okay. When she resigns, he says, now we're investigating all of y'all.
So again, this may be better and better what Trump is doing as far as making it so clear all of the terrible things that are usually going on behind the scenes. Now he has gone full North Korea, Kim Jong-un, Putin. He has taken his own executive orders and put everything on steroids at this point. Everything that is that he can change and that he can have say-so over, he is making that clear, even as far as getting someone who has multiple charges of bribery, getting those cases dropped. He can literally run whatever he wants to run now for his own personal gain, for whatever he wants to do. And if the people are just going to sit back and watch, then it might as well have went any other way. But there can only be hope that as this gets more and more just crude, more and more right in front of your face, that you can't even ignore it, what's going to happen from that point on, who knows? But one can only hope that maybe protests start to come about, maybe people start to organize against this, and hopefully by then it's not too late.
Of Eric Adams being able to be let off by virtue of what Trump is clearly hell-bent on doing, if this becomes a situation where the federal government is no longer willing to prosecute him, is it something where we can see the state pick up the slack from where the federal government is going to leave off?
Yeah, just ask Steve Bannon, because Steve Bannon committed crimes of fraud when he came up with this.
In terms of Eric Adams being able to be let off by virtue of what Trump is clearly hell-bent on doing, if this becomes a situation where the federal government is no longer willing to prosecute him, is it something where we can see the state pick up the slack from where the federal government is going to leave off?
Yeah, just ask Steve Bannon, because Steve Bannon committed crimes of fraud when he came up with this bogus We Build the Wall Foundation and bilked what I believe are Trump supporters out of their money, right?
Yep,
He was
exactly.
indicted federally, but Donald Trump swooped in and pardoned him for stealing from Donald Trump's own supporters. That doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Pardoned him in the federal prosecution, and the state court, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, said, yeah, not so fast, Steve, because you also violated New York state law. And what did we just see? Steve Bannon plead guilty to a felony, a scheme to defraud in the first degree in violation of New York law. Well, hold on tight, Mayor Adams, because you may have the same fate coming at you that Steve Bannon just suffered. So I think, generally speaking, state prosecutors and attorneys general around the country may have to continue to pick up the slack that is, being left by Donald Trump's Department of Justice, being unwilling to enforce the law without fear or favor. And let me just finish with this, Brian, because when Emil Bove said, I want the case dismissed against Eric Adams, but not because of the evidence. By all accounts, the evidence that he committed crimes is quite strong, and this was a very triable case. You know what signal they were sending? They said, we're going to dismiss this case against you, Mayor Adams, and we want you to help the Trump administration, but we can rebring this case anytime we please because, as we said, the evidence is strong and we are moving to dismiss it without prejudice, meaning we can re-indict you at the drop of a hat. And then
just basically own him at that point?
Own him. Do you think he will do everything and anything the Trump administration wants him to do so he can avoid being re-indicted?
Of course.
Have it, you guys. We have Brian Tyler Cohen talking about Steve Bannon and Eric Adams. It is pretty terrible what's happening, how this current president is just flexing their muscles for control and power. And yeah, we're just getting started. It's the first month of this term. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. It's another day in the progressive way.